So, Michael, you're aware of the recent developments here in Pakistan and the recent protest that was staged by Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf on its founders Imran Khan's call, which was termed as the final call. And as you are well aware of the fact that previously there have been protest calls from Imran Khan, which you know didn't yield in much of a result. But this time there has been uh, a confusion as to what really transpired in Islamabad and how did that protest, what was actually uh, the motive of that protest. So please enlighten us because the dust has now been settled on this issue. So what is your analysis? What do you think what happened?
Well, I mean, even now there remains some questions. What we do know is that Khan had called on his supporters to march on Islamabad, and there were a significant number of people that did so or that tried to do so. Whenever you have these types of rallies, there's always the issue of crowd size, that potato politically, but it does seem that Khan was successful in mobilizing large numbers of people. It appears to me, based on my best sense of estimates, we're talking about thousands of protesters, not hundreds of thousands, but thousands. So it was a pretty significant turnout. All the more impressive given that there were significant risks for these people to come out, given that a court order had essentially ruled the protest illegal, given that there had been restrictions on the internet, which made it difficult for people to be coordinating, and also there had been threats of arrest or worse. So the fact that you did have this large number of people come out is pretty significant. But what we also know is that the protests fell short in the sense that they did not last very long, and that the government essentially put an end to them fairly quickly on that Tuesday evening. And if we are to assume that the goal of these protests were to put a lot of pressure on the government and to compel it to take certain steps, whether you're talking about reversing these new constitutional amendments that have become very controversial, or to actually release Khan from jail, none of this happened. I think that what remains the big unknown, and this has unfortunately become a very political issue, unfortunately, is the loss of life. What exactly happened when
Yes.
the lights were shut off in Islamabad, in Chowk, and what happened? The government, of course, has said that it did not open fire, that there were no deaths, whereas the opposition and its supporters have given all types of different ranges for how many deaths there might have been. My understanding is that there was a harsh crackdown, and that you had tear gas that was used, you had large numbers of arrests that were made, and that there were several confirmed deaths. I mean, my understanding is that PTI leaders are now saying 12 died. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's true or not. It is very clear to me that you did have several fatalities. One is too many, of course,
Yeah. One is
but
too many.
I think we're unlikely to get that independent investigation. We're unlikely to get that independent investigation that many might like to see about what exactly happened on that Tuesday night. And I think for the sake of accountability, it would be good to see that, but I don't think we will.
Uh, yes, because there has been investigations in the past, but which did not yield much result. Michael, my next question to you is: Khan's supporters are very optimistic about about the results of the recent U.S. election, and after the election of Donald Trump as president of the United States, many in Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf believe that this will be a blessing in disguise for Imran Khan, and there might be pressure. There might the new administration, the new U.S. administration, might start pressurizing Pakistan government to release Imran Khan. So talks are being circulated in Pakistan's media, and especially in the leadership of PTI, because we have seen that PTI leaders have said time and again that the election of Trump means the release of Khan. So, do you think that President-elect Donald Trump will exercise some of his influence in releasing Imran Khan or ensuring his
I mean,
release?
To me, it seems very hard to believe that this scenario would play out along the lines of what PTI would like to think or hope. I think you have to go back to the core question: is what makes people think that Trump would do that? And I think that it comes down to this idea that he sees Khan as a friend. He got along well with him when they were both leaders leading their countries. Trump invited Khan to Washington for a meeting, for a White House visit. They met subsequently several times. They seem to have a good chemistry.
Yeah,
And I think most importantly, from the perspective of PTI, risky assumptions, quite frankly, that are not rooted in fact. I have no reason to think that Trump would want to go out of his way to help Khan. Yes, I'm sure he remembers Khan, and my understanding is that some PTI leaders and supporters have met with people close to Trump going back to the presidential campaign period to convey to the Trump people, the issue of Imran Khan. So I'm sure that he's aware of it. But why would he decide to take what would essentially be a relatively random step, and particularly if you're a new president when you have so many things on your plate? In my view, the last thing that you're going to be thinking about is Pakistan. Now, there could be, pardon me, the last thing that he'd be thinking about is Imran Khan. Now, some might argue that there are several prominent political and policy figures in the U.S. and in Washington that have been very vocal in expressing their concerns about the plight of Khan. So Zalmay Khalilzad, for example, has
yeah.
been very vocal and very supportive of Khan. People like John Bolton, those that have served in Trump administrations before. But my view is that none of the people that are publicly, none of these U.S. Policymakers, political figures that are calling for, for support for Khan, they are not likely to serve in the administration. I don't think that Khalilzad will serve in the administration, and
Yeah.
the
Neither will
picks
John
that
Bolton
that
because
con that
he won't be serving as well. John Bolton is not also serving.
right pathetic to Imran Khan. I mean, if you take someone like Mike Waltz, who's going to be the national security advisor, he's very critical of Taliban. He opposed Dennis. I don't think he would take up to the things that Khan said after the Taliban that the Taliban was in power. I'm not saying that's an accurate perception, but that is the perception of many in Washington, including, I would think, someone like Mike Waltz. They're focused on other things, quite frankly. So I think that we might see, there's the possibility that Trump at some point, once he takes office, could post some messages on social media about Khan and decrying his plight. He might do that because, as I said, he knows about his case. But I just don't see him trying to take things in a direction where he tries to pressure the Pakistani state to release him or bring him relief like that.
All right. There has also been talks about the growing relationship between United States and India. So right now the balance of power in South Asia, especially, is changing. It's because we have seen the mini revolution, we'll say, in Bangladesh, and a regime has been installed in Bangladesh that is not very pro-Indian. Yet we see, on the other hand, the growing relationship between India and United States, and now Trump and Modi, they both enjoy a very close relationship. What implication do you think will be for the future for Pakistan, and what policy will Trump adopt when it comes to Pakistan?
I think that we're generally going to see a situation. I think that the Trump administration will recognize that Pakistan is a country that you can't afford to look away from, so to speak, and it will want to ensure that there's a full relationship. But I don't think it's going to be a priority relationship, and I think that this incoming administration will likely give Pakistan less attention than the Biden administration did. And the Biden administration didn't give it much attention, quite frankly, relatively
Yeah,
speaking, after the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. I talked before about the people that Trump has picked to serve as in his administration. These are not friends of Pakistan. These are very harsh critics of Pakistan. Mike Waltz, Marco Rubio, Tulsi Gabbard. Kash Patel doesn't. Well, I guess that's not as much of a relevant case. But the intelligence, those focused on external intelligence, the CIA picks, and so on, they are not known for being friends of Pakistan. So
yes,
I think that there is the risk. that the relationship could face drift or neglect, which I think would be a big mistake. The other point I would make is that I think that when this administration pursues its relationship with Pakistan, and it will, even though it'll be a limited one, I don't think that it will want to emphasize the priority areas that you had in the Biden administration, which included things like, climate change, working together to
Yes,
counter climate change, climate assistance, clean energy issues. I don't think we'll see that. I think that from the Trump administration's perspective, the focus with Pakistan would be in exploring trade cooperation. I mean, you do have a fairly consistently cordial trade relationship between the two, including when Trump was president previously. Not a big
yes.
one, but a notable one. And I think that if the Trump administration concludes that the economic environment is sufficient in Pakistan, there would be interest in trying to pursue that.
That's
And I don't think you could cannot rule out the possibility of some level of security cooperation, not in terms of weapons and money. I mean, Trump, of course, suspended security aid to
Yeah,
Pakistan early in his first term, and that's not going to change. But terrorism is a concern for Trump. He likes to have taken credit for defeating Islamic State. So surely he and his administration would be concerned about ISKP, the group based in Afghanistan, which now
yeah.
projects a global threat or more of a global threat. So I don't think that he would rule out maintaining this periodic counterterrorism dialogue between the U.S. and Pakistan that we've seen in the Biden era. I think that having those conversations is something that his administration might want to do, but again, I would not overstate the possibility of security cooperation.
All right, Michael. Last question. Do you, because some analysts here in Pakistan have predicted that Khan will be released in a couple of months. Najam Sethi and other prominent analysts here have given their analysis that Khan will see some relief from the establishment. So, in your opinion, and in your analysis, do you think in the coming 2 or 3 months will Imran Khan be released?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, on one level, I'm inclined to think that so long as the current army chief remains in power, that we're not going to see him released. Particularly their personal confrontation between General Munir and Khan. With these new legal changes, it appears that the current army chief could be in power for several more years, which suggests that you can't being freeze soon. I definitely think he'll be released at some point in the relative future, but I don't know about the next few months. I think that one to look at is if the army essentially agrees, and I say the army here, I emphasize not the government, not the
Yeah,
civilian leadership. If the army leadership offers to him his release on with in return him agreeing not to cause trouble and to not to cause the types of problems that the state is worried about. That's the possibility, but would Khan agree to that, right? I mean,
yeah, that is
Khan
a
might
bigger
say,
question.
well, only I'd agree to that only if the government steps down. That's the
Yeah,
bigger question, yeah. And I don't know what the answer is to that. But I guess all I would say is that I definitely think there's a chance that he could be released, but I don't think that in the immediate term, and especially what happened with these recent protests, which the state claims that PTI protesters are armed and violent. I think that you'd have to see more time elapse between what happened last week before you could get to a situation where there might be a willingness within the leadership to think about possibilities leading to his release. So I think it could be some more time.
okay. Thank you so much, Michael, for giving us the time and providing your analysis to us and enlightening us. Thank you so much. And once again, me and on behalf of my team would like to thank you, and we'll invite you some other time with another interesting topic for our audience. So thank you so much.